And welcome to the last public meeting for calendar year 2012. It's hard to believe a year has flown by. And I think before we bang the gavel and officially start public meeting, I think it's most appropriate that we take this opportunity to really thank the dedicated employees that make up this wonderful organization. My colleagues and I first want to wish you a very safe and enjoyable holiday and obviously a prosperous and healthy new year. But it's also an opportunity as we go through the rigor of a very stressful year to say thank you for a job well done. And I could roll off names, and I can roll off statutes, and I can roll off investigations and audits, and I'm not going to do that in the interest of time. But I think it's fair to say, if you look back over the last year, a lot has been accomplished, and it's been accomplished because of the people who I'm looking at, and I know who you are. And I'm going to do one thing, though, this morning. Every employee of the Commission, I want you to stand right now because we want to recognize you for all your efforts. Let me just remind you, though, the challenges are not going to go away in the new calendar year. And I encourage everybody that we need now more than ever, we're going to have to work together. We're going to have to use our collective clout and expertise to tackle some of these challenges. But I think the five of us are not only steadfast in our support of the mission of this organization, but it's that working relationship we have, whether it's a bureau director or a frontline personnel here at the Commission. We all feel very comfortable where we're headed coming into the new year, but it's going to be challenging. We recognize that, but working together, I think we'll get through some of those challenges. Now I'll officially kick off public meeting and ask that you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Before we sit down, my colleagues and I would ask that you join us in a moment of silence to really mourn the tragic events in Newtown, Connecticut last week at Sandy Hook Elementary School. And I just wrote up a note. As a PUC community and citizens of this great Commonwealth, let us join together this morning in a moment of silence and extend our heartfelt prayers to the families in the entire Newton, Connecticut community. Thank you. Well, it's hard to believe, but this is the 22nd meeting of the Public Utility Commission, last public meeting for calendar year 2012. And in keeping with the tradition of approving the minutes of the November 8th meeting are in front of us for approval. And I believe, Commissioner Gardner, you are the editor of the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Santa's elves have delivered the minutes. We have reviewed them appropriately and have concluded that they should be approved as submitted.
Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as submitted. It's a pleasure to welcome to the podium this morning to begin public meeting Ms. Cheryl Walker-Davis. Cheryl, good morning and happy holidays.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Happy holidays. Mr. Chairman, my self-tinting glasses are getting dark for some reason.
Cheryl, I have that effect on people.
May it please the Commission.
Certainly.
On behalf of your various offices and bureaus, we present for your consideration and disposition the following agenda items. Starting with matters on behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, it is recommended in omnibus fashion that the Commission adopt all of the recommendations appearing on pages 1 and 2 through and including the recommendation with regard to William R. Smoley.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On behalf of the Bureau of Audits, it is recommended, again in omnibus fashion, that the Commission adopt all items appearing on pages 3 and 4, through and including the recommendation pertaining to the West Penn Power Company's transmission service chart supplement.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On behalf of the Director of Regulatory Operations on page 5, and with regard to the investigation of Pennsylvania's retail electricity market, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the recommendation there appearing to eliminate for calendar year 2013 the requirement for certain EDCs to produce and mail a postcard encouraging customers to shop for electric generation suppliers and to use PA Power Switch, with that obligation to resume in 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On behalf of the Office of Special Assistance, it is recommended that the Commission adopt all of the items appearing on pages 6 and 7 through and including the formal complaint of Larry Wolf versus Verizon North.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On page 8, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the staff recommendation with regard to Matthew Gillette versus PPL Electric Utilities Corporation.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I concur in the result only.
So noted. Any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0, noting that the Commissioner Cawley will be voting in result only. Excuse me, concurring in result only.
In omnibus fashion, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the items commencing with the recommendation pertaining to Aegis Ambulance Service at the bottom of page 8, and including all items appearing on pages 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 through and including the recommendation pertaining to the joint petition of Consolidated Communications of PA and Cricket Communications.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On page 16 of the agenda, commencing with matters on behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, first, it should be noted that the top item pertaining to Just Energy Pennsylvania Corp. Has been withdrawn by the Bureau. In omnibus fashion, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the items commencing with the last item on page 16 pertaining to Zoom Energy Pennsylvania LLC, and all of the recommendations appearing on pages 17, 18, 19, 20, and the first 3 items through and including the recommendation pertaining to the application of Teleport Communications America LLC on page 21.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
It is recommended that the Commission adopt the staff recommendation pertaining to the security certificate of Pennsylvania American Water Company filed on November the 6th of this year, noting your statement, Mr. Chairman.
So moved.
Second.
I have a brief oral statement that I'll read here briefly. Before us this morning is the registration of a security certificate for Pennsylvania American Water. The proposed issuance will be used to finance existing debt. I expect all of our utilities to explore every possible refinancing opportunity given the historically low and, in fact, extremely low interest rate environment in which we enjoy right now. In this case, while the reduction in interest rate measured in basis points, not percentage points, seems small, the net present value in savings is nearly $6 million. To customers who are faced with increasing utility bills as needed infrastructure replacement moves forward here in the Commonwealth, every step of cost reduction is a big move, and all steps should be taken. Again, I want to commend PA American Water for their proactive approach in this refinancing.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to associate myself with your statement.
So noted. Any other discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
Continuing with matters on behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, it is recommended that the Commission adopt all of the items appearing on pages 22 and 23 through and including the recommendation pertaining to the application of Penn Teledata Limited Partnership.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
Turning now to matters on behalf of the Law Bureau, it is recommended that the Commission adopt all of the items appearing on pages 24, and the first item at the top of page 25 pertaining to the Borough of Doylestown petition for declaratory order.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
Well, with regard to the petition of Verizon Pennsylvania and Verizon North for a bona fide retail request deployment extension, we recommend the adoption of the staff recommendation there appearing, noting the statement of Commissioner Gardner.
So moved. Second. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Gardner for purposes of a statement. Commissioner Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like for my statement to be entered into the record as if read in its entirety. The two carriers requesting extension today do so because portions of their Pennsylvania workforce are assisting with facility repair and restorations in parts of New Jersey that were devastated by Superstorm Sandy. I greatly appreciate Verizon Pennsylvania and Verizon North providing the Commission with the information necessary to determine that there is good cause for delaying the provision of broadband service to the affected bona fide retail request communities. I further note that the Commission and consumers expect to receive timely and clear information. I trust that such information has been provided to the affected consumers so that they are not left in the dark about the status of their future broadband service. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Gardner. Any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously, noting the statement of Commissioner Gardner.
Turning now to matters presented on behalf of the Office of Administrative Law Judge, it should be noted that the first item, and it does sadden me to say this, Mr. Chairman, the item pertaining to Sue Christmas versus PECO Energy Company has been postponed until public meeting of January the 10th.
You postponed Christmas?
Mr. Chairman, after conferring with my trustee advisor, Tom Mayer, it appears as though the Commission is still considering the naughty or nice list.
Let's move forward.
Continuing with the presentation of agenda items, in omnibus fashion, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the remaining items on page 26, commencing with the complaint filed by the Borough of Nesquehoning versus CNS Railroad, and the remaining items, and continuing with all matters on pages 27 and 28 through and including the recommended decision pertaining to Pike County Light and Power Company's 1307E filing.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, that does conclude the presentation of regular agenda items. Turning now to the carry-in agenda. It is recommended that the Commission adopt, on behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services and on behalf of the Bureau of Audits, all of the items appearing on page 1 of the carry-in agenda.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
It is recommended that the Commission adopt, on behalf of the Office of Special Assistance, the items appearing on pages 2 and 3 of the carry-in agenda through and including the recommendation pertaining to the PECO Energy Company's Act 129 Phase 2 Energy Efficiency and Conservation Plan proceeding.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
On page 4 of the carry-in agenda, with regard to the matters presented on behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, we recommend the adoption of the staff recommendation pertaining to the Total Environmental Solutions and Aqua Pennsylvania Water Company acquisition, noting your statement, Mr. Chairman.
So moved. Second. I'd like to have my statement entered into the record as if read its entirety. Before us this morning is the proposed order disposing of the joint application for approval of the acquisition by Aqua Pennsylvania of the Total Environmental Solutions, Tessie water and wastewater assets located in Sandy Township, as well as the corresponding right of Aqua PA to offer service and abandonment by Tessie. The Pennsylvania PUC has had a long-standing policy of encouraging acquisition and consolidation of many of our troubled water and wastewater systems here in the Commonwealth. Due to the exceptional level of interagency cooperation and the proactive efforts by larger system operators such as Aqua and PA American and United, we have had great success in this endeavor, particularly with respect to smaller and more troubled systems here in the Commonwealth. In this case, Tessie systems are neither particularly small nor significantly troubled. However, the benefits of consolidation remain. We expect Aqua to use all the tools available to them here at the Commission that have basically been historic in helping with consolidation policy, including taking full advantage of the economies of scales in operations, finance, and management. With respect to rates, mitigation options should include movement towards single tariff pricing, gradualism, and use of new rate options that are part of Act 11, including the possible combining of water and wastewater revenue requirements in this particular case. Any further discussion on this case?
Yes, Chairman. This proposed order has two items in it. The first part denies the petition to intervene that was late filed by the Borough of DuBois. One of the other, really the other unsuccessful bidder. I have no quarrel with Aqua taking over this system. In fact, I'm glad they're doing it. And I'm grateful generally that Aqua has done this before, relieved us of a troubled system. But I am troubled by denying the borough an opportunity to intervene, even if they technically were late in protesting. They wish to have an opportunity on behalf of their citizens to express their concerns, and I think we ought to give it to them. And rather than adopting a formalistic approach to our rules, I just don't think it's good public policy, and therefore I concur in the result only.
So noted. Any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously, noting that Commissioner Cawley will be concurring in result only.
Continuing with the presentation of items on behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the remaining item on page 4 of the carry-in agenda pertaining to Pennsylvania Electric Company's alternative energy street lighting supplement, as well as the remaining PECO Energy Company matter on page 5 pertaining to its supplement to include an adjustment for the C factor.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. I believe that concludes our last public meeting of calendar year 2012, and I believe there's no further items to come before the Commission. I think I got the holiday wish in early, and I seriously want to wish everybody a very safe and enjoyable holiday. And more importantly, I want to thank you. We will be putting out next week our BCS rankings on the individual Bureau holiday parties. There is a tiebreaker. Buck, I'm really proud of you. You stepped it up this year. A couple critiques. There wasn't music. We can work on that. I have a couple CDs I can loan you, or maybe an iPod. But all in all, seriously, thank you for having us. It was horrible for our waistlines, but the camaraderie and just to meet and greet with the employees to say thank you and wish them a safe and enjoyable holiday means so much to us. So the North Wall does have a heart, by the way. So with that, we are adjourned.